Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Speedrun. We're at 1238 ELO. We're on a 15 game win streak to start the series, and so we're hoping to continue that today. The games have been getting much more challenging. We're in the intermediate range at this point. Not fully established ELO yet. We still have a pretty volatile ranking. We earn 22 points if we win and lose 21 if we lose. We get e3 from our opponent, which is a bit of a strange move. I'm going to go d5 here. And then we get that followed up by b3, which is also strange. So I'm going to bring my knight out. Probably look to play c4, knight b6, and then potentially e5, depending on what our opponent plays. But I play c5 here to not prevent, but to discourage. d4, I get to trade a c pawn for a d pawn, which would be pretty nice for me. And so looking at e5 here, looking at bishop f5 next, followed by something like e6. Okay, and our opponent gives up his fianchettoed bishop. We could play g takes, or we could play e takes. E takes probably more natural. It'll open up this bishop to a more natural square, and it leaves our pawn structure intact for us to castle. So let's do that. And although we have damaged pawns, our opponent invested the pawn move and a bishop move in that bishop and then gave it up, so that's not great for our opponent. The queen comes in, it's attacking the pawn. Well, it's not, because my queen defends. So let's see what we should do here. I could consider g6. That would push the queen away. And then that would be a good diagonal to get my bishop on. So let's do that. I like the look of g6 here. Even though we previously just talked about getting our bishop out this way, this diagonal is looking pretty good now that the opponent doesn't have a dark square bishop to oppose it. So let's do that. Everything's still defended, and we have a lead in development now as well. Opponent gets the knight out. That gives room for his rook to move. I could play h5. Point being, if he castles along, which I think is likely, I then have the skewer of his rook will be there, his queen and his rook. Let's play it. My king's not in danger in the center yet, so I don't think it's too weakening of a move, even though I do plan to castle that way. Also, ideas of bringing my bishop out here and then hopping my knight in and looking for a fork along there. Okay, let's look here. So if I play bishop g4, he could move his king or his queen. That would be bad. There. I guess he has safety on that square. Because if I push again, my bishop is on that square, so it would hang. That also seems like a good move for me, though, because opening up the king might be good here. So maybe I start with this. Force his king or his queen over, and now I can take the pawn. So up a pawn, have a lead in development. He's now eyeing that square. I can castle. If I castle, the knight jumping in doesn't hit, and like I'll just move my rook over, and then I will just have to go back. So that's interesting. I could also play f5, which attacks his rook. Well, let's... If I play here, he has that check. So let's castle. Let's do this. That way, knight d6 isn't dangerous. He goes for that move. I might play... If I play f5 here, that kind of traps my bishop in. I'm wondering if there's a way to trap the queen though. So let's say I play f5. If he takes my bishop, I take his rook. So if I play f5, let's assume he moves his rook over. Then I could play h4. That square is not open. I guess his queen would have to go there. And then maybe I could, no, my bishop can't go there because his knight defends. So we probably do just want to bring the bishop back here. Could also consider there. We'll bring the bishop back to d7. I want to look at a move like knight d4. Okay, he goes in there. That doesn't really threaten anything. I mean, I guess it does threaten to win that pawn, but if I go there, he wins the pawn. That does attack my queen, but then I go here, or I go, yeah, I could go here. His knight would have to jump back, and then I would win the rook. So let's, I could also just go here, or I could just defend the pawn. Let's go for f5. He castles. Could hop my knight out here. I could also bring my queen out. If I bring my queen out, I think he likely goes a4. Let's go for it. Okay, he brings his knight back, but that hangs the pawn on a2 with the checkmate threat incoming. So I think our opponent's just lost here. And I think the position was very good for me prior to that move. So we'll review it after the game ends, but we should be able to win in the next few moves here, hopefully. I don't know if he has any good defense to queen a8. Okay, and our opponent ends up abandoning the game, and we'll check. I think it was just gonna be mate in a move or two there. All right, looks like we played at 88% accuracy, so a great game. Gives us 95% accuracy in the opening and then 81 in the middle of the game. So let's go ahead and take a look. So opening, we played good. Okay, e-takes was best there. Attacking the queen was best, and so yeah, looks like this was a good move. Let's see what it liked best here. Okay, it liked just preventing the bishop from getting out to this square, which was really the only good square that it could have found. Going there or there is a little bit more sad. Okay, let's go back to the game review. Okay, this is the idea that I was going for, especially if he long castled. Looks like it didn't love that move. I could have gone for f5 immediately instead, which I play a little bit later. Here, again, good, but best would have just been to castle, not worry about that pawn. Okay, there it played through a sequence, and then it says this move wins a rook. So long castles is wrong, and then yeah, bringing my queen out was the best move. I'm guessing, all right, so he moves the knight back. Yeah, so a4 would have been the best move, and that's the only move that I saw that would have worked at all. In this position, it liked queen b4. Okay, so it still just wanted me to sneak my queen through to the a8 square, no matter what our opponent did. He made it easier. He just played knight back, and then yeah, queen takes. What would have been? It would have been completely winning, but what would the defense have been? Okay, he had to push d4, and then I mean, I would have just taken. He gets his queen in the way. Okay, and then he would have had to lose his queen, because I could do something like this, which is a discover the attack on the queen. The computer wasn't even finding that to be the best move. But anyways, our opponent resigns in this position, or rather I think abandoned the game. May have been a bit of a rage quit, but that will do it for today's game. Thank you for joining me.